Hello once again. Welcome back students to our video sessions on class 9 biology. This video is on chapter 5, diversity in living organisms. The earth has numerous living organisms. They vary in size, shape, habitat, nutrition, reproduction and a lot of other features. Each organism is different from the other to a lesser or a greater extent. And then there is a whole world of organisms invisible to the naked eye, the world of microorganisms. These microorganisms are widespread in nature and they can exist anywhere, right from the poles to the equator, deserts, rocks, and in the deep sea. Some are adapted to very hot or very cold conditions. Microbes are also found in or on all multicellular organisms. They are literally everywhere, that is in the air, soil, or water. Therefore, we have plants and animals around us, and then we also have microorganisms on the earth. Now you know what diversity in living organisms is. Studying diversity is a very difficult task because organisms around us are numerous. Naming each organism is even more difficult because complete knowledge of the organism is necessary. And there might be another organism resembling it closely with some common features. Therefore, scientists have tried to make groups based on differences and similarities in organisms. This has helped scientists to identify closely related groups and largely varied groups. A systematic study of the living organisms is essential, and if you need to do a systematic study, you require complete knowledge. And then we can understand diversity better. So in this chapter, we have some activities to understand diversity in plants and diversity in animals. Then we also have activities to understand variation in animals and variation in plants. And then we will go on to study about classification. So let's get started. Diversity in plants. Let us do an activity. I am going to collect leaves from different plants. I am going to observe them carefully and then note down my observations, what I have seen. To help us understand diversity, we have taken leaf, just one part of the plant, that is the leaf, and we are going to just observe leaves of 5 different plants. I have taken leaf from the money plant. This is the leaf from the money plant. Then I have taken leaf from the hibiscus. This is the hibiscus leaf. And then I have taken leaf from the ajwain plant. Vamu in Telugu. And this is leaf of the grape vine. And the tiny one here is tulasi leaf or the ocimum plant leaf. You can observe the difference in size from the biggest to the smallest. The money plant leaf is the biggest here in this set, and you have the smaller ones, and the leaf of the vine is of different shape. The grapevine leaf is actually bigger, but I took a small one. There are bigger leaves, and the smallest one in this set is the ocimum leaf or the tulasi leaf. Now look at the edges. The money plant leaf edge is smooth. The hibiscus leaf edge is sawtoothed. It is serrated, we call it. The ajwain leaf edge, it is wavy toothed. And this is also pointed in the edges. The edges are pointed. And the tulasi leaf edge is again smooth. The edge of the tulasi leaf and the edge or the margin of the money plant leaf is almost the same. It is smooth. So these are some of the differences that we find in the leaf of different plants. Let us move on to a garden where we can see different plants of various sizes. So many differences in the entire structure of the plant. So this is to help us understand diversity. I am taking you into a garden where there are plants of different sizes, shapes, and variety. This is the lemongrass plant. It is belonging to the grass family or the Poaceae. So you can look at the leaves which are blade-like. This plant has many medicinal values. The shape of the leaf is specific for the grass family. This is Colocasia. And look at the shape of the leaves here and look at the structure of the plant. It is a small shrub and the leaves are broad. Now this is the mustard plant. Small yellow flowers it has and it is short in size, the mustard plant. Then this is the aloe vera. This is a succulent plant with fleshy stems, fleshy leaves. The edges are toothed. This plant is also having medicinal benefits. Let us then move on to see another plant, which is the papaya plant. These are baby papaya plants because they haven't grown tall. They are still growing and that is why they are short. Actually, the papaya is a bit taller. So here again you find different kind of leaves and stem. And let us observe some flowering plants, and this is the marigold here. This is a flowering plant. Then you can see table roses which are having needle-shaped leaves and multi-petal flowers. This is the bryophyllum. The bryophyllum, the leaf has plantlets growing on the notches, and these plantlets, they will grow into new plants when they fall on the ground. This plant is the green chilli. There is one more green chilli plant with the chilli on it. This plant is Mayflower plant. There are no blooms because it is not season. So all these are just to help us understand variety and diversity in the plant kingdom just by looking into one small garden. Did you notice any two plants which were alike? Did you see any two plants with the same kind of leaves or the same kind of flowers? All the plants that we have seen just in a small garden were different from each other. And there are various differences, not just in one aspect, but in many aspects. Likewise, there are some similarities too. For example, the height of certain plants were almost the same. So we have discussed about plants and leaves. Let us also discuss about seeds and do an activity on the observation of seeds. We will collect some seeds from the plants of green gram, red gram, Bengal gram, wheat, paddy, groundnut and maize. You can observe that these seeds are different in their shape, size and their color also. If you soak these seeds for some time, you can also notice the number of cotyledons that these seeds have. Green gram, red gram, Bengal gram and groundnut, these have 2 cotyledons. The green gram, red gram, Bengal gram are all pulses which are having 2 cotyledons. Maize, paddy and wheat, they are monocots. They have only 1 cotyledon. You can observe the leaf venation, the veins present in leaves of monocots and the venation in dicots. In monocot plants, the leaf venation is parallel venation, whereas in dicots, the leaf venation will be reticulate venation. So, this is to say that there are some common characteristics within plants, like all dicots have reticulate or branched venation, all monocots have parallel venation. So, by doing this activity, we can understand how grouping is done. Let us also try to understand diversity in animals. We can observe the external characters of insects. So, for this activity, we need to collect a housefly, a mosquito, an ant, a dung beetle, butterfly, one moth, and one cockroach from our surroundings. We can observe them carefully by using the help of a magnifying glass. You will observe that all insects are not of the same size. They differ in shape also. There are differences in the legs and there is difference in the shape of the wings also. The number of wings and the number of legs also varies from insect to insect. And then you can also see that there are variations in human beings. You can observe all the students in your class and you can measure the height of each student and the weight of each student. You can measure the length of the forefinger and you can also take the thumb impression. You will find that no two individuals have the same thumb impression, or the length of the forefinger differs from student to student, the height varies and even the weight varies. So, by doing this, we are trying to understand that there is variation in one species, that is, in human beings also, within the same species, there is so much of variation. And then let us also see variation in plants. That is, we will take the example of two different neem plants. There are a few variations like the height of the plant, the size of the stem, etc. So, what we observe here is that variation between different species is greater than variation within a species. So, variation forms a basis for the selection of characters to group the organisms. The scientific procedure of arranging the organisms in a hierarchical series of groups and subgroups on the basis of their similarities and dissimilarities is called biological classification. Thus, classification is the systematic study of organisms present in nature with respect to their evolution. What is the need for classification? It gives us a better knowledge and understanding of organisms under study. It helps us to study the organisms in a proper and systematic manner. It helps us to make comparisons in an easier way. It also helps in understanding the relationship among organisms and how they depend on each other. Classification makes study of organisms more focused and it helps us to handle huge population of organisms. Classification also gives us an idea of evolution, like how organisms have evolved in nature. We must also understand that classification and evolution are closely related. The method of arranging organisms into groups on the basis of similarities and differences is called classification. Evolution, on the other hand, refers to a slow, gradual, and continuous process by which previously existing organisms develop into the newly existing living organisms. Some characteristics in living organisms are likely to make wide ranging changes in the body design. There is a role of time in this as well. So, once a certain body design comes into existence, it will shape the effects of other subsequent design changes. So, in other words, characteristics that came into existence earlier are likely to be more basic than the characteristics that have come into existence later. So, this means that classification of life forms is closely related to their evolution. Evolution is the process of acquiring change. So, most of the life forms that we see today had variations that accumulated over the years to allow the organism possessing them to survive better. Charles Darwin wrote about this in his book Origin of Species. When we connect the idea of evolution to classification, we find in some groups of organisms that the body designs have not changed over the years. Some organisms have acquired changes.